Hey, what's going on? It's June the 21st, 2025. This is Shane's Views for the week. And of course, I talk about mainly world news events for the week. Also, I include sports news, um, mainly touch up on my teams that I talk about weekly, but I also touch up on other major sports news for the week. So we'll start off with the world news. Um, this week we had uh, comptroller and mayor candidate in New York City, Brad Lander, was arrested for trying to escort an immigrant out of a New York courthouse. Um, these people keep trying to perform these acts, for their voters, thinking that this is going to get them, elected. So I guess, Brad Lander thought this was a smart move, that it's going to help him become mayor of New York. Anyway, another guy that looks like a complete jackass on television, ICE agents, detaining him. And anyway, just another clown event. And, that's what these people are trying to do. They're trying to go against sanity, really. I mean, it's like, so if you're trying to appeal to the insane crowd, you're going to appeal to a certain amount, because there's sadly a lot of insane people in this country, or in each state. But overall, it's not going to get you anywhere. So there's more sane people than there is insane people, thank God. So it's a clown show. The Democratic Party really needs reforming. They need, a lot of not corrupted people to be a part of their party. People that are pledging for America first, that aren't, wanting to take kickbacks, and do trade deals to get richer illegally in this country. So, and again, I say this weekly, this stands for several Republicans also. It's the same shit. So Lindsey Graham is one of the worst. So I'll just leave that there. Then Kash Patel, the FBI, announced that Anthony Fauci, his devices and his phones were found that have been missing for the last few years. Now, Kash was also saying that there could have been important, messages, on these devices and his phones that were deleted. But they were trying to locate these things, and they have found them. So we'll see what comes out of it. Anthony Fauci's obviously, if you have a brain, corrupted to the core, but hopefully, he will eventually be prosecuted, for his crimes against humanity. So the guy's trash. So next, Donald Trump. We had the G7 event this past week in Canada, and Donald Trump, he did attend. He was there the first day. It's a 2-day event. He left early because he he wanted to get back to DC to attend to this whole Israel-Iran matter. Donald Trump still hasn't said whether the United States will have involvement in this war. I don't think they need to. I don't think we need to send our soldiers to be a part of it. I think Israel has the ammo to take care of what they need to take care of on their own, the weapons that we have supplied them. And they've been bombing the shit out of that place, and taking out a lot of their top officials, like I stated the last episode. And, the Ayatollah, I mean, he's hiding, and then, Trump said, I'm not really going to give it a specific date, but I will say 2 weeks at the most. I'll decide if I'm going to send, our troops to help clean up the mess. Of course, a lot of politicians, don't, in our country, a lot of citizens of our country don't want to see our soldiers go to war. Of course, I would agree with that. I don't, again, I don't think it's needed. I think Israel could take care of it on their own. I mean, if they are needed, I guess I'm for it, because again, the whole point of our country and basically everybody not wanting Iran to have a nuclear missile is because they've already pledged over the years what they would do if they had one, that they would basically try to eliminate and self-destruct Israel, and they've threatened the United States. So of course, look, the way I was looking at it is you could, if you're a president of a certain country, like, you could just be like, oh, you're a super nice guy, and then you could build a nuclear weapon or a missile, and then you could just shoot it off, and people would have you taken for being like a super nice person until they figure out you're a crazy leader for just shooting it into somewhere. But they were very upfront with their intentions if they ever developed one. So in that case, that's why the United States, specifically, we and really any other country mostly do not want them to handle a nuclear missile. Anyway, that's why they're bombing the shit out of a lot of important bases and buildings there, and where they would probably, if they were trying to develop one, that where it would be made. So that's why they're bombing these places. And again, like I always say, as part of war, unfortunately, innocent people, they end up getting hurt a lot or killed. That's why in reality, war is definitely not the answer, unless you're a neocon or a globalist and you're for war. And I could go into the next thing, where they were interviewing President Trump yesterday, and before he got on Air Force One, he was going back to Bedminster, I believe, and that's where he hangs out this time of the year in the summer when it's really hot here in Florida. And they had mentioned, one of the reporters mentioned, that Lindsey Graham and Mike Pompeo had basically were in Ukraine and basically still pledging for them to continue war and with Russia. And Trump says, these people got to be very careful with what they say, because they could get in a lot of trouble. And this is a reason why Trump didn't want Pompeo in his office this run. Pompeo, even though, I think Pompeo has good intentions deep down, but I also think he's also been considered, like Lindsey Graham, a neocon and a globalist, because he's probably pushing for war in some instances so he could get kickbacks. Remember, if war keeps going, more money is put into wars, and then you pledge these wars, like, oh yeah, I think we should be at war, and continues, and again, this isn't our country, but they're sticking up for Ukraine. Again, another problem, because Ukraine is an evil government. I keep saying this. It's a very evil government, just like Iran is a very evil government. So anyway, people will be enlightened at some point, and you could say that I told you first, like on a lot of things, but that's the way it goes. So anyway, Trump is right, like always. There was another report that came out this week about the 2020 election, where Kash Patel from the FBI said that there is definitive proof that China has interfered in the 2020 election. There were ballots sent. There was driver licenses, different things that they sent to the United States in conjunction. They were working with the Democrats to try to steal, and they did steal, not try, they did try, and then they stole the 2020 election. And again, now the talk is getting even hotter. I've been saying this for a long time, that President Trump, eventually, they're going to, investigate this, and it's going to be shown that Joe Biden did not win the 2020 election. And that's going to be a great thing. So it's already leading into this. We're already getting there after a couple of months. I thought it might be the beginning of next year. The investigation may not be till the beginning of next year, but the way they're starting to come out with this stuff, I'm thinking some point this year. So, and of course, if you read these Democratic-based fake news media, legacy media, reports about it, of course, they're saying, oh, now Trump and now Kash Patel are coming out with more conspiracy theories. Okay, everything's a conspiracy theory until it's not. So when it's actually proven on a world stage, and you do have whistleblowers that are backing this up, that do have evidence. So you people are going to look really fucking stupid. But of course, because you're being funded by bad people, these legacy media outlets, they got to keep pledging these same lines. Like, oh, conspiracy theory, and so okay, conspiracy theory until it's not. So like I've always said, the 2020 election was stolen. Donald Trump did win, and Joe Biden's name will be removed eventually. It will be erased from the book. And really, Donald Trump's name should be installed as the 3-time winner. Even though he was not in the White House in those 4 years, his name should be installed because it will be shown that he won. So if he's the winner, then his name should be installed and Joe Biden's name should be erased. Plain and simple, right? I mean, you can't keep a guy's name in the book that he won an election that he did not win. Sleepy Joe Biden did not win. So that excites me. So that's coming soon, okay? Also, Colonel Nathan McCormick was removed from the Pentagon because he was making anti-Israel comments, calling Israel a death cult. So you got somebody in a higher position, and he's basically sticking up for Iran, and Trump isn't going to have that. So he was removed. We'll see going ahead, if more comes out about that. Not a good move by Colonel Nathan McCormick. Then Donald Trump just issued a statement yesterday that the Democratic rep of Congo and the rep of Rwanda came to a peace treaty. So that's a great thing, right? I mean, anytime you're, coming to a peace treaty between, different countries, and, I think that's a great thing, right? So peace treaty issued and worked out. And so that's a good thing, right? And that's what we're hoping to do going forward with, Israel, Iran, Ukraine, Russia, but you have to get the really evil people out of those governments in Iran and Ukraine for these peace agreements to really work. Okay. So, anyway, very, very good thing. Then we've had, this is, really, bigger news of the week. Vance Bolter, unfortunately, in Minnesota this past week, he shot and killed State Rep Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark. Okay, dressed up as a police officer, came in a cop car to their property. So they opened the door and he shot and killed them. And then also he shot Senator John Hoffman of Minnesota and his wife Yvette. Luckily, John Hoffman and his wife Yvette are both living, but unfortunately he did kill 2 people. Now you had, of course, the Democratic base was riding with this, that this Vance Bolter is a Trump supporter, and he actually had this guy looked totally different on when they got a picture of him, where he looked bald when he was dressed up in the police uniform, and then so he was obviously wearing some kind of makeup, or he had makeup, fake bald cap on his head or whatever, because when they caught him, I mean, he looked different, where he had hair and, of course, dressed totally different. I believe not in the police uniform that he was, a couple days before they had caught him. So, he is in custody now. And then a story came out yesterday where Vance Bolter told the FBI that Tampon Tim Walz told him to eliminate, to kill Amy Klobuchar, the senator of Minnesota, and so Tim Walz can grab her position. Now, of course, they're saying, Vance Bolter is batshit crazy. They're trying to make it like, but I mean, this dude is telling this to the FBI. So I mean that to me sounds pretty fucking crazy that Tim Walz could be behind this. Wouldn't surprise me at all. And so again, coming soon. We'll see what happens. But that's some heavy shit. So if he had anything to do with what occurred already, and then Klobuchar is again in the Senate of the United States, and Tim Walz, he said, did tell him to kill her, so he could get that position. So we'll see. A very interesting stuff that came out last night from what he told the FBI. Anyway, also this past week, the Army Parade, they did it last Saturday in Washington. It was a great event, and honoring 250 years for the Army, the United States Army. I thought it was done really well. They had all the troops from all the eras, all the different eras, all the different years. They had troops dressed up in those particular uniforms, highlighting those eras, all kinds of Army tanks and different things. And of course, like always, the Democrats are told to push fake narrative for some sick reason. These people are crazy. So they put up these fake videos, showing, desolate amounts of people at the event when the event was very packed up. I can't guarantee the exact amount of people there, but there was a lot of people there. I think they said, a lot of media outlets said it came under what they expected. I think they expected maybe 200,000. But even if there was 100,000 people there, I mean, it was packed up, and people had a great time. And I think there was never any rain at the event, which they were trying to, I think, more fake news. They were trying to, stave people from going on by attending the event by lying and saying, oh yeah, it was going to pour rain at that time. And I think it did rain that day, but not at the event. And the event was around 3 hours long. It went from 6 p.m. Well, it was more of an all-day thing, I think, but the main event started between 6:30 to 9 o'clock. They had President Trump talk there, J.D. Vance talked. They had fireworks, a great fireworks show at the end. That was also President Trump's birthday. That was a great event, and that was on June the 14th, last Saturday. So anyway, as far as world news, I think I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's it for this week. Now I'll get into sports. Again, we just had an end to the NHL final, in which the Florida Panthers have repeated as Stanley Cup champions 2 straight years. I gotta say, I'm surprised, because I thought Edmonton would win both, and they didn't. They lost. And at some point you got to give the Panthers some credit. I mean, it's not like Edmonton was missing any of their top guys. The Panthers just went out and they won. And in the NHL, it comes down to goaltending, right? I mean, that's the goalie is who's letting in the puck or not letting in the puck. And I'd say Bobrovsky for the Panthers, over the last 2 years, he played better, particularly than Skinner from Edmonton, who really had rough, this year particularly, had a very rough final. And my pick the last 2 years was Edmonton. I was wrong on both. The Florida Panthers are back-to-back champions. Crazy. The first 2 wins in their franchise history. So that's, going over 30 years. And hopefully the Blackhawks next year will be your champions. Now the Blackhawks got to get it, better. Some here, to keep developing. Our youngsters got to get better. But I think the Blackhawks could definitely be in the playoffs this next year. And from there, when you get in, anything can happen. So let's see. But that's that for the NHL season. And then within this next week, we'll have the draft for the NHL, and then the next week we will have free agency starting. So in the NBA, we're going to a Game 7 in the finals between Oklahoma City Thunder and Indiana Pacers, which another thing that surprises me a lot, because I saw this series going 5 games at the most in OKC's favor. So I never saw OKC losing more than 1 game. Actually, at first, I thought they would sweep. Then I gave them 1 game, the Pacers. But it's going to Game 7, so Pacers are a little bit better than I thought, and OKC, I think, is a little bit worse than I thought. So we'll see what comes about with that. And then this next week, we will have the NBA draft also, and free agency starting the next week, also with the NBA. Game 7 will be tomorrow, June the 22nd, in Oklahoma City. Hopefully the Thunder win. That was my pick, so we'll see what happens. And football soon. We'll have official real training camp coming up. Right now we're still in, some OTAs and, shit like that. But, as far as my Raiders go, they're supposedly, in camp. Guys are looking good. Of course, got to stay healthy. There was a lot of injuries last year, like a lot, especially to their defense. But on offense too, to certain guys that hurt them. So this year, though, they added better caliber players at several positions. So expecting good things out of the Raiders, as long as they stay, you got to stay healthy. You got to keep your key players healthy. Baseball. New York Yankees have shit the bed over the last week officially. Their last 8 games, they're 1-7. Horrible. Been shut out 3 times in that span. Awful. Because they were only shut out 2 times all year until this last week. And then they got shut out 3 straight games. I mean, you got to be in a real shit slide to get shut out 3 straight games. And, even the worst hitting teams, it's hard for them to ever be shut out 3 straight times. Now, this is actually, I believe, the 7th time in Yankee history that they have been shut out 3 straight games, which I kind of found amazing. And as far as a scoreless streak, they worked it up to, I think, 29 innings of not even scoring 1 run. And the franchise record was 33, okay? And luckily they did not break that. And then the all-time record in Major League Baseball for consecutive scoreless innings for any team was 48. And they didn't break that, okay? But regardless, they lost. They got swept by Boston last weekend. They lost 3 out of 4 to the Angels. Not a good team, the Angels. And then they lost last night to Baltimore already to start off this series with the last place American League East Baltimore Orioles. So, again, the Yankee hitters, I mean, we've added several new guys to the lineup. I think there was a lot more fluidity at the beginning of the year. Even if they lost certain games, I feel like the offense was still putting up, 4 in the worst games. And then, again, they did get shut out a couple times, but everybody gets shut out at some point. The only team that's been shut out only once this year, I believe, is Arizona. And I think every other team has at least been shut out 4 times. And that includes the Dodgers, the Tigers, some of the better teams. I think the Cubs are at 4 or 5. The Mets are at 5. We're at 5. So I'm just saying every team gets shut out at some point, but then there's also just a lot of low scoring games with the Yankees. I mean, they have had 4 1-0 wins already. So that's, basically 1 run is not good. Scoring 1 run is not good. Your pitching bailed you out in 4 games already where they gave up 0 because you only scored 1. It kind of just reminds me of the last several years with the Yankees, and this is their biggest problem and why they haven't won a championship since 2009. Their offense just craps out too much, and there's several reasons for it. There's, I think, several guys have that home run mentality where they're just trying to pull everything. That affects your swing if you're actually if you're thinking home run every time. I've always been told or taught from when I was a kid and I played, level swing, hit it as hard as you can, but always think level. hard contact. Don't try to uppercut and pull everything, and because that just fucks you up in the head. And also, I think pressure. Like, definitely some players on this team, you could see the pressure getting to them. Like, they just they're not calm at the plate, or you'll see guys like Volpe, I think, is like on an 0 for 24 slump where he'll take fat pitches down the middle of the plate. He'll just keep his bat on his shoulder. Fat pitches meaning good pitches to swing at and try to hit. And then, you get behind in the count, 0-2 or 1-2 or whatever, and then just chasing a horrible pitch out of the zone that you should just not even swing at, a ball way out of the zone. And that's a lot of the guys on this team. And Judge even was in a bad slump this last week. He just broke out the last couple of days, but he was, for like the previous 6 out of the last 8 games, I mean, he was in a pretty bad, a rough patch, his roughest patch of the year. And he was doing the same thing. He was swinging and missing at a lot of pitches out of the zone and striking out a lot. And so anyway, they only have a 1.5 game lead right now on Tampa in the AL East. There's about 87 games left, I think, so still a shitload of games. But they got to really start playing better, because what their team is now roster-wise is what it's going to be mostly. Like, they may make a move or two. Luis Gil's going to come back, but like, I don't see any. I mean, maybe they add another infielder. I think that's a possibility. But really, I think mostly what they have now is what they have. So, like, guys got to start just simply hitting better. And I don't, look, Volpe, I get it. People, shit on him. But, like, the one problem I have with Volpe is the errors. He's got 9 errors. And this guy was always, when we drafted him, was highly touted of how great of a defensive shortstop he is. And he won a Gold Glove his first year, which is very questionable. And I say this as a Yankee fan because he committed a lot of errors that rookie year. I think he committed maybe 14 or 15 or something. I mean, how many Gold Glove winners do you see with that many errors? And then he committed even more last year. I think like maybe, 18 or something. And now this year he's got 9. He already leads all shortstops in baseball in errors. But Volpe is 4th in RBIs for all shortstops in baseball. He has 40, and he's got 8 home runs, where I think the most a shortstop has is De La Cruz from the Reds. I think he might have 15 or 16, but most shortstops home run wise, he's kind of in the same grouping. Like, a lot of guys are more like 8 to 10 homers, but that RBI production is really good for the position. I mean, 4th of all shortstops in RBIs. So I hate when I read things where people are putting down Volpe so bad and saying, oh, he'd be a backup in other places. I mean, come on, dude. This guy is a starting shortstop. He may just not be playing at an all-star level. He's still, as far as shortstops go, he's very productive, overall offensively. But again, none of these shortstops are like great actual, 300 plus hitters. Some are better than others, average-wise. Several, or actually all of them are playing better in the field right now than Volpe, because he has the most errors at that position. But still he's in year 3. This is year 3 for him. He's, I believe, 24. So, I mean, still a young kid. Has to be better, that's for sure. Has to be better than he's been, especially during this slump. Has to be better in the field, that's for sure. So the Yankees got to be better as a whole. Okay, so anyway, that's it for this week. I'll see you next week for Shane's Views, and I'll see you then. Take care.